Here is the ultimate guide for game weeks 23 to 29, talking about the blanks and double game weeks. What Man City option should you be bringing in? And talking about the best chip strategy. Let's get into it.
Yo, listen up, Rue is stepping up the game. Where fantasy Premier League runs in his veins. From transfers to captains, he's always on top, guiding you through every game week non-stop. They say Rue got that Salah flow. Welcome to the channel, enjoy the show. Wild cards, free hits with so much vibe. If you're hunting for success, then make sure you subscribe.
Good day, mate. Welcome back to the channel. I'm FPL Rue, and welcome back to another FPL video. So like I said, in today's video, we're going to be talking about a few things. So this is kind of the ultimate guide for game weeks 23 to 29. So game week 23 starting with this game week all the way going up to 29, which is likely to be a big double game or big blank game week because of teams going to be playing in the FA Cup. We've also got the double game week in game week 25. It has been confirmed that Man City and Brentford will be doubling in that game week, and it is likely, albeit we're running out of time, but it is likely Liverpool will be getting a double game week too, along with Luton. So we're going to be talking about all of that. We're also going to be talking about AFCON and Asia Cup, what this means for Salah and Son. Also, we'll be going through Man City options because I know a lot of people want to talk about Haaland being back, whether it's worth keeping Alvarez. Is De Bruyne going to play enough minutes? Also going to look at chip strategies again. Please make sure you do subscribe, as I will be making loads of videos over this period and going into a bit more depth when we get more information. So we'll start off just looking at the fixtures. So these are the predictive fixtures, so they're not set in stone. I will talk about the ones that are set in stone, which is out of these is a double game week for Manchester City and Brentford. The rest are set in stone too. So game week 23 for 5, 6, 7, 8, and then game week 29 is predicted too. So most of them, they should end up like this, but I'll talk about game week 25 a bit later on. First of all, with Arsenal, at the moment, I don't feel like it is a good time to bring in Arsenal players. I know they've actually turned their form around after going through a few losses, but I don't think now is a very good time. They play Liverpool next, and they've got West Ham away, which can be a tough game. Yes, they've got Burnley and game at 25, but then they've got Newcastle, and then they've got Brentford and Chelsea, which can be a tough game. So I don't think it is a good time to bring them in. However, if Chelsea do go out the FA Cup when they play Villa in their replay in a week or so, then Arsenal won't be blanking. So if Chelsea get knocked out by Aston Villa, Arsenal won't be blanking in game week 29. So there is an argument to say maybe in game week 25 to bring in Arsenal players. But I think for now, with Liverpool at home, West Ham away, I'd probably stay clear. Aston Villa. So obviously I've just said if Aston Villa beat Chelsea, then Chelsea out of the FA Cup. So Arsenal's fixture v Chelsea will go ahead in game week 29. So it actually is predicted Aston Villa do beat Chelsea. So that's why Aston Villa's fixture is missing from game week 29. Otherwise, they would be playing West Ham. So that's exactly the same. So if Chelsea beat Aston Villa and they're out their FA Cup, then Aston Villa will have the fixture in game week 29. So it's very, very crucial, that game, that FA Cup replay. Whether we basically keep our Villa options or keep our Arsenal options or keep our Chelsea options, etc., etc. But now, though, Villa do have some good fixtures coming up. Sheffield United away, Man United at home, which I think is a good fixture. Although Villa did lose their unbeaten record at home, I think that, yeah, they should be able to beat Man United at home. Then they've got Fulham away, Forest at home, Luton away. Then they've got Spurs and West Ham in game week 29 if they do get knocked out of the FA Cup. I think for now, it's just a wait and see with Villa. If you can get some more information, if you can wait to that replay game where you'll find out whether they'll be playing in game week 29 or not, then I think that is crucial information. It's just a real shame that it did go to a replay because I probably would have that information now. But that replay should be happening next week. I'm pretty sure. I'll just get it up if my laptop loads. But yeah, it should be happening midweek. So we will know, I think, around game week 24, 25. Also, Bournemouth, I think for now, Bournemouth have decent fixtures. So Forest at home, Fulham away. So if you do own Solanke or even a Senesi, I think it's worth keeping. So the thing with Bournemouth, I know they're due a couple double game weeks because of their fixture against Luton did get postponed because the Luton captain did end up having I think it was a heart attack on the pitch, so that the game did get postponed. So that fixture has to get rearranged. But the thing with Bournemouth and Luton, they're obviously not in Europe, so there's not a specific time it needs to go in. So that's why the prediction hasn't seen them have the double game week sooner, because they can have it at any midweek of the season, really. Brentford, so a team that have been on shocking form. They have been scoring a few more goals recently, but they got 2 against Spurs. But obviously, a lot of people are looking at Ivan Toney mainly. The fixtures again are shocking for Brentford, but they've got a double game week in 25, and then they don't blank in game week 26, and they don't blank in game week 29. So that is guaranteed, because Brentford and Burnley are both out of the FA Cup. So if you are looking to bring in Brentford players and you don't mind the fixtures, maybe Ivan Toney, then I think that could be a very nice option, especially with the no blank in 26, 29, and a double game week in 25, which is confirmed. Brighton, so I've actually just bought in a Stupinan, so obviously they did get absolutely battered by Luton. There's a massive shock, but their fixtures do look really good. They're actually predicted to miss game week 29, so they're predicted to go through to the quarterfinals of the FA Cup, or their person they're supposed to be playing is predicted to go through. So that's why they don't have a fixture. For me, I do like Estupiñán. I probably won't go for any of the forward options though, because Brighton have actually failed to score in their last 3 Premier League games. So for me, that's not a team I want to be picking forwards from or midfielders from. I think Estupiñán, although he did get the chop at half time, I do think that was just because they were 3-0 down. I don't think it's I don't think it's him losing his place, to be honest. So in that game week 29 fixture that is meant to happen, it is Brighton v Man City. So obviously Man City are going to be favourites to go through in the FA Cup, and Brighton are still in it too. So that's why it's predicted for that to be a blank. Burnley, I just don't think it's worth talking about them, although they are guaranteed to play in 26 and 29. I think Liverpool and Arsenal in 24, 25 is just, no point talking about them. Chelsea's an interesting one though. So obviously I've just mentioned, if Chelsea do lose to Aston Villa, then their fixture against Arsenal in 29 will be going ahead. However, with Chelsea, it is a guaranteed blank in 26 because they've reached the Carabao Cup final. There is potential for the Spurs fixture to go in and make a double game week, because that's who they would have been playing in game week 26. But again, Spurs and Chelsea are not in Europe, so they have all season to basically replay that game. So there's no rush to get that into a double game week. But for now, I'd probably keep Cole Palmer, but other than that, I probably wouldn't be keeping any Chelsea assets, maybe for the next 2, and then take out in 25, because obviously they do have Man City away before they blank. So Man City away, then a blank is not ideal. But for now, I'd probably keep Cole Palmer over the next 2. Palace are an interesting team, so a good win for them with Eze and Elise back, but it did come off with a knock. So that is a little bit worrying for owners, I guess. For me, I'd probably just wait to see what Roy Hodgson says. I do think they're both really good players. I do prefer Eze because I think he'll be on penalties. I think he takes more set pieces. He's more of the main man, where I think Elise is probably more of a really good winger. But I think Eze, everything goes for him. You could argue that means Eze plays a bit deeper, which is probably true, but I do prefer Eze. Palace's fixtures look really nice. Brighton away, again, not the easiest. Chelsea at home, Everton away though. Then they've got Burnley, Spurs, and Luton. Again, Palace are predicted to blank in game week 29. So they have they have Newcastle in that fixture. So that's why they're kind of predicted to blank. Everton, wouldn't be bringing in Everton players, to be honest with you. Spurs at home, City away. Then they've got Palace at home, but then they've got Brighton away, West Ham, Man United, and likely to blank in game week 29. So another team, they play Liverpool in that game week. So I don't know if you've noticed by just me explaining it, there are a lot of tough games in game week 29, which means there's, I'd say, um, more chance of at least one team going through. So, for example, Arsenal v Chelsea. So it only takes one. Obviously, Arsenal out already now, so it's not a thing. But it only takes one of them to be in their quarterfinals. Brighton City, um, Everton Liverpool's a big game. Um, yeah, Villa West Ham's pretty even game. So there's not, I guess, really an easy team or really a good fixture for any team. Luton play Forest. The only team probably with the best fixture is probably Brentford away at Burnley and Man United at home to Sheffield United. Other than that, it's pretty evenly matched. Spurs away at Fulham, you could argue, but Fulham are a pretty decent team. So a lot of people were thinking, we'll talk about this later on in the chip strategy section, but a lot of people were thinking of playing the free hit in that game week. I just don't think there's enough good fixtures to warrant that. And I think, yeah, obviously it depends on your team, but you should be able to put out a good team without having to pay that free hit. But again, we'll talk about that later on in the video. Fulham, so their fixture against Spurs is guaranteed in 29, and they do have some okay fixtures leading up to that. So Burnley away, Bournemouth at home, Villa at home. So 2 home games in the next 3. United away, Brighton at home, Wolves away, Spurs at home. So I'd say not bad fixtures for Fulham. Maybe someone like Robinson, like Raul Jimenez, if you're looking for a cheap budget option, even a Willian. But I wouldn't be rushing out to get them. Although the next 2 fixtures do look really, really good for them. Liverpool, again, a team who we're talking about a lot because they do double in game week 25 and blank in 26 and likely to blank in 29. So there's obviously a lot of talk about Jota, Alexander-Arnold, Darwin Núñez. However, for now, I'd say don't rush out to bring any of them in. So that double game week against Brentford and Luton hasn't been confirmed yet. So at the time of recording anyway, it hasn't been confirmed yet. If it's not confirmed before the game week 23 latest game week 24 deadline, well, definitely not game week 23 deadline, then I don't think it's going to happen. So definitely keep an eye on that one. But like I said, they've got Arsenal away next, so don't rush to bring them in. Then they've got Burnley, which is a very nice fixture, and in a double game week. So if they do actually have that, then I can definitely see an argument for bringing in a Jota, etc., Darwin Núñez. Salah, again, we'll talk about Salah a bit more in detail, but Salah could be an option by then. A bit later, though, we'll talk about that. Then they've got Forest away in 27 and then City at home in 28. So there is an argument to bring in Liverpool players for game week 24, 25, and then take them out for the blank, because then they've got Forest away again. Pretty good game, but then they've got City and then a blank game week. So 2 blanks. 1 City away in 4 game weeks doesn't sound good to me, albeit Liverpool are very, very good at the moment. Luton are another interesting team. So they have a potential potential double in game week 25, and their fixture against Forest is guaranteed to go ahead in. No, it's not guaranteed to go again, but because they got Man City in the FA Cup, so it's likely to go ahead. Both teams, I think Forest have Man United, and then Luton have Manchester City. So that is why it's kind of, I guess, likely to go ahead. But Luton should be a team to be looked at. They absolutely smashed Brighton. They're actually doing very, very well in the league. They could stay up. I can't believe I'm saying that, but they could definitely stay up. Newcastle away is probably not the best fixture for them next, but then Sheffield United at home. And then if that double game week gets confirmed, obviously it's tough. Man United at home, Liverpool away. But Sheffield United with a double game week does look really, really nice for Luton. You could go someone like Morris up front, or what's his name? He just scored a hat-trick. You could go for Doughty in defence as well. You also got their forward that just scored a hat-trick. I don't want to get his name wrong, so I'll just quickly get it up. So definitely Luton can be a nice option, especially for 24 and 25. Again, their fixture is probably going to go ahead in 29, so that is always a bonus. And yeah, they've just beaten Brighton 4-0, and Adebayo scored a hat-trick. So he could be an option as well for 4.8 million. But for me, I'd probably not rush out to get Luton, especially as the double gaming hasn't been announced just yet. Man City, we'll talk about Man City players in depth, but in terms of their fixtures, I think they're probably, I'd say, the key team to bring in at the moment. I think it's going to be crucial to probably have 3 Man City players over the next 3 to 4 game weeks, I'd say. So Brentford away, Everton at home, and they've got a double game week confirmed, locked in. Chelsea at home, Brentford at home. Then they've got Bournemouth away in 26, and then Man United at home, Liverpool away, and then probably a blank because I can't see Man City not getting to the FA Cup quarter-final. So there is an argument to maybe take out City options in game week 28, where they place Liverpool in a blank, because obviously that doesn't really look good on paper. But I guess we'll come to that later on, and we'll talk about the players in depth a bit later on in this video. Man United, it's just I guess a shame for, well, not a shame for rival fans, but a shame for FPL players and I guess Man United fans that they're just not consistent enough, because West Ham at home, Villa away, Luton away, Fulham at home is a really, really nice run, especially Fulham at home in game week 26, where there's going to be a lot of blank teams. So 4 teams are going to be blanking, and 4 teams that we have a lot of players from, and even 2 of them that have just doubled. So that is a real shame that we can't really rely on Man United players. But it's just the way it is. Maybe Garnacho could be an option, but for me, I'd probably stay clear. I do really, really like Newcastle at the moment. So yes, they've just got that win away at Villa Park, but the next 3 fixtures do look really, really nice for them. Luton, Forest away, Brighton, Bournemouth at home. Yes, after that, Arsenal away, but then they've got Wolves at home and Chelsea away again. Chelsea away is not a tough fixture for me. Someone like Anthony Gordon could be a really, really nice shout. Alexander Isak came off injured and Wilson's not fully fit yet, so we could see Gordon play up front in the next game week against Luton at home. For me, it could be a real nice one. I am looking to bring in Anthony Gordon into my team, whether that's this week, I'm not too sure yet, but again, we'll talk about that a little bit later in the video, because I've kind of priced myself out of getting Haaland back because of bringing in Estupiñán. I didn't really fancy any other defender to bring in. Kind of lucky I did, because I avoided Moreno's -1, but I probably should have just left. Left enough money for Haaland, but you live and learn, hey? And who knows, if Estupiñán could smash it this game week. But yeah, I do really, really like Newcastle options. Even a Sven Botman could be a nice option. Dan Burn. So Newcastle, I think, is a very good pick for the next 3 game weeks, and even a bit longer, to be honest. And they play in game week 26. Forest, fixtures look good, but I just don't know if there are enough options out there for them in terms of options to pick from. Because yes, Bournemouth, Newcastle, West Ham are not too bad, but then they've got Villa, Liverpool, Brighton. So some tough teams in there, to be honest, but they do likely to play in game week 29, which is key, and it's Luton away. But like I've said, Luton have been very, very good. So for now, I'd probably stay clear of Forest. Sheffield United, again, I probably won't talk too much about them, but the fixtures are not too bad, but I just can't see who you'd go for. Spurs is a very interesting team to talk about. So the fixtures do look good over the next 3. Not perfect, not Sheffield United, Burnley, but 2 home games, Everton away, Brighton at home, Wolves at home. However, they do blank in game week 26, so that is something to take into consideration. But if you can carry Spurs players, they're guaranteed to play in game week 29, because Fulham and Spurs are both out of the FA Cup. So if you do have Pedro Porro, I'd probably keep him through the blank and kind of capitalize on him playing in 29, if you obviously can bench him and afford to bench him. But Spurs players I really, really like. Richarlison, I think, is a really good option. I think he is nailed. I think even if Son comes back, Son will go on the left, Werner to the bench, Richarlison up front. Yes, that does mean Son could go in the middle, Werner come on the left and play, or Werner play up front, Richarlison come off. but I think Richarlison will get enough chances and get enough goals to warrant his. Yeah, I think he's about 7 million now. So yeah, I think he's a really nice option. Obviously, Maddison's back too. However, I do think Richarlison's a better option. These are both midfielders. Richarlison's a bigger goal threat for me. So that's the key. West Ham, not a team I'm looking to target. Jared Bowen could be out of my team this week too, because of that. Yes, Man United away is not a tough game, but it's not ideal, and they're likely to blank in game week 29. But obviously, that is only if Villa beat Chelsea and then they beat the team they've got in the next round. So that replay is really, really crucial, because if Villa do go out the FA Cup, then that West Ham v Villa game will go ahead, and you might want to keep players like Jared Bowen. So yeah, it is a tight one, but I'm probably just going to take up Bowen now just because of the next two fixtures. Wolves, again, the fixtures are not great for them over the next two, and they're not guaranteed playing 29, so not for me. Next up, we'll talk about AFCON and Asia Cup. So some big news, and some big players could be coming back soon. So Manchester City options. So there's a lot of talk. So I really wanted to talk about the main Manchester City options. I know I've got 5 players on here, but there is a lot to talk about, and I think they deserve their own little segment. We'll start off with Kyle Walker. So there's a lot of talk on the X community, the X FPL community about Kyle Walker. There was some rumors that allegedly the big content creators, had some Kyle Walker leaks and they didn't share it with everyone. I just want you to let you know, whoever's watching this, that I would have shared it with you, and I always share it with you if I have leaks. But yeah, so that's disappointing if that's true. I don't know if it is true or not, but Kyle Walker was rested in that game, or benched, whatever way you want to look at it, because I know he does have some personal stuff going on in his life at the moment. I'm pretty sure he's going for a divorce. And yeah, so it could be that. It could be tactical reasons. It could be resting. I don't actually know, but for me, I probably wouldn't be bringing him in now for 5.4 million. For example, I was looking to bring in a defender this week because I had Gusto on my bench. I know he's blanking in 26. He was a doubt for this game week anyway. So for me, I was looking to get him out, and I was looking to get Kyle Walker in because of the double game week. I decided against it because for 5.4 million, albeit City are good defensively, I just need more from my defenders for that price point. Because when I've got people like Estupiñán, Porro, Trent, even a Moreno sometimes, Gabriel, these lot score goals, get assists, as well as their teams being okay defensively. Maybe not Spurs or Brighton, but they have been recently, to be fair, Brighton. But someone like Arsenal, they get clean sheets and they give attacking returns, whereas Kyle Walker, I don't think gives enough attacking wise to warrant that 5.4 million price tag. So I did go for Estupiñán instead for 5 million. So for me, I wouldn't be bringing in Kyle Walker. Maybe wait and see after a couple game weeks if he gets his place back, and then you can bring him in for the double. But for now, I'd probably stay clear for at least 2 game weeks. Next up, Erling Haaland. So yeah, it's a tough one with him. So he came on against Burnley and played around 20 minutes in a game week 22. So I did expect that. I did predict that he would come on and play 20 minutes off the bench. He didn't look great, but he's been out for six game weeks, so I completely understand that. Do I think he will start in game week 23? To be honest, I don't. But I can definitely see him starting. It wouldn't shock me if he does start, because the fact that Man City play on Monday night. So for me, that is enough time to maybe Haaland have a few training sessions to get a bit more kind of fitness in him. So for me, I don't think he'll start, or I don't think he needs to start, but I won't be shocked if he does. Potentially, I can see one of De Bruyne or Haaland not starting. De Bruyne did start the last game against Burnley, so if he does get benched, then I can see Haaland starting. I think one of them will start. Yeah, for me, I think that will be the case. So for Alvarez owners, so I've kind of talked about everyone in one now, but for Alvarez owners, I think one more week is fine because I can't see both De Bruyne and Haaland starting. Yes, if Haaland's starting, it means Alvarez is off pens and is not playing up front. And if De Bruyne is starting, it means Alvarez is on penalties. Great, but he's not on set pieces. So it is a 50-50. I'd still think he is a good option, no matter who starts and if he does start. But I think he has got one more game with him. I can't see De Bruyne after his first start starting again in what is it, 5 days, 4 days. I don't think it's worth the risk for Man City, especially as they got Champions League starting up. The massive title race to contend with. So for me, I don't think they're going to risk it. I think one of De Bruyne or Haaland will start in game week 23. Phil Foden moved out to the right, which was interesting. So on one hand, it's great. He can play multiple positions. He can play in midfield. He can play on the right. However, on the other hand, is I don't know if he's as effective on the right. Yes, he did get assist in game week 22, but can this mean if some players come back for City that he misses out completely? Because I can't see him getting in over De Bruyne or someone in the midfield. So for now, I think Foden is okay, but as City start to get more and more players back from injury, it could be a tricky one. Overall, just to wrap up, as an Alvarez owner, the plan was to go Alvarez to Haaland, but he's just scored a brace. I know that we shouldn't really be thinking like that, but he has just got a brace. I can't see him being dropped. I just can't see it. He's just scored a brace. De Bruyne has just come back from a long-term injury. He's played his first few minutes, started his game. I can't see him starting again in 4 days' time when there's no need for him to start. They got Champions League coming up. They got big games in the title race coming up. For me, I can definitely see De Bruyne being benched and Alvarez starting. Haaland, I think it just depends if De Bruyne is benched or not. If he is, then I can see Alvarez starting, to be honest. But if he's not, then yeah, I can see Haaland being benched. So overall, I'd wait to see what Pep says. If Pep does give anything away, then fair enough. But overall, I think De Bruyne will be benched. Alvarez plays number 10 and Haaland starts up front. So Egypt are out of AFCON, the African Cup of Nations. So they did go out to penalties to Congo, which means Mo Salah is out the tournament. However, obviously we all know Mo Salah is injured. He did leave the tournament with an injury. However, he did put a picture up on his Instagram of him back on grass. So to me, that means he's probably a couple weeks away, which means he could make it to game week 25, potentially game week 24, if he does come back sooner. So this is big news. For me, though, I think it's going to be a struggle to get Salah back in our teams, especially the fact that we have to get Haaland back now and Salah back. I think it could be a real struggle. Let's say, for example, he's back in a couple weeks, which is game week 25, so the 17th of Feb. So it's around just over 2 weeks. I think he should be back for that. However, would he be fit to play 2 games if obviously Liverpool do get that double game week? I'm not too sure. So for Salah, I'd say wait and see. Listen to the press conferences, get some more information. I wouldn't rush anytime soon because even if he was fit, he's got Arsenal away next, so there's no stress to rush to get him. And for me, I think we just have to wait for more information. If he's back for game week 23, even better. But I don't think it's a little bit too soon for him, even though he is on grass. However, game week 24, they have Burnley at home and then a potential double game week. So it is a wait and see. Watch this space with Mo Salah. But for now, yeah, I wouldn't be even thinking about bringing him back into your teams. Heung-min Son, on the other hand, has made it through to the quarterfinals. So he got through. Saudi Arabia 1-1, and then they won on penalties 4-2. So that means he'll definitely miss game week 23. So The quarterfinals are actually on the 2nd of February. However, I don't think he's going to make it back for game week for 23, even if he does get knocked out because Spurs are the early kickoff, etc., etc. So there's no chance of that. They do play Australia, which is, I'd say, a little bit of a conflict of interest because obviously I'm in Australia, but Sonny's my player. I'm a Spurs fan, so and I just went to Korea recently, so I'm in a bit of a predicament. But I guess the good thing for me is Australia win, and Sonny comes back home and starts playing for Spurs again. However, I don't want to see a sad Sonny, so it is a tough one, a lose-lose and a win-win for me, I'd say. But if Australia do win that game, and they go out, so he will definitely be playing for game week 24. That does give him an 8-day rest between the quarterfinal and game week 24. The semi-final is on the 6th of Feb. So for me, that is touch and go. So if he does make it to the semi-final and goes out, then he's got 4 days to get back for game week 24. For me, it is a little bit tight. Spurs play on a Saturday too, so it's not even like they can long it out to the Wednesday, etc., etc. So, yeah, for me, I don't think he'll make game week 24 if he does make the semi-final. And then the final is on the 10th of Feb, which is the same day as game week 24. So this is this is a bit of a tricky one because if he does go to the final and win the final, then they might go to Korea and want to have a party. And do you know what I mean? I don't. Is a week break long enough for him to go have a party? I'm pretty sure it is. And Spurs again is on the Saturday, so they will be playing on the 17th. For me, I think that's enough times to go to Korea to come back and maybe be on the bench or be in contention to play. Spurs in game week 25, which is when he'll come back if he does make it to the final, against Wolves at home. So at least it is a home game. So I can definitely see him maybe starting or at least being on the bench. For me, if you own Son, it's a tough one, but I'd probably get rid because even if he's back for 24, you got 24, 25, then they blank. So for me, I'll just get rid of Son. I wouldn't be bringing him back, to be honest, until way after game week 26. But it is just interesting to see because this doesn't only affect Son or people that want to buy Son, but it affects Richarlison. As I've said, if Richarlison comes off, Son can play in the middle. Son can play out wide, which may affect Werner, Brennan Johnson. So it does affect the Spurs team. However, it could make Spurs a better attack, but I could see Richarlison, if he is on penalties, he probably will be taken off penalties because Son is the penalty taker. So it does make a big difference. So for now, I'd probably just expect Son to get to the semi-finals at least, or the finals. I think South Korea are a really, really good team this year, albeit they have scraped past the group stage and the round of 16. But I fancy them to go far and at least the semi-finals. So for me, I'll probably just bring in Richarlison if I'm in an RN about that. So finally, we're going to talk about chip strategies. So slight change, I guess, from my chip strategy video, but definitely go and watch that because I do talk about more chip strategies. These are my favorites at the moment. So triple captain in 25 is an absolute lock, whether that's Haaland, whether that's Salah if he's back, whether that's Darwin Núñez, Jota, Alvarez, Foden. It's going to be someone from Liverpool or Man City. Obviously, Haaland is the top candidate. He's come back from injury. He's played a few minutes. By game week 25, I can see him starting regularly. So it's probably going to be Haaland with 2 home games, Brentford and Chelsea. So that's locked. Then the 2 decisions is basically the question of, is wildcarding in game week 33 to bench boost in 37 too late? Is the question. Is that too late? Potentially that's too late because you could obviously, so many things can change from wildcarding in 33 to bench boosting in 37. So many things can change. But on the other hand, do you want to save your wild card to game week 36, which is strategy 1, and then bench boost in 37, where you're only really using it for 1 game week. You don't know if the game week 38, whether the teams have won the league, so all the players you've just bought in are going to be redundant. You're going to have a lot of money on your bench as well, which towards the end of the season is definitely not needed. So there's so many pros and cons to this. I wouldn't say there's anything that can happen that could change it. Potentially, I guess, some big teams going out the FA Cup, which means less doubles in game week 34 and 37 potentially. But for me, I just can't see that happening with the FA Cup draw. So for me, yeah, free hit in 34, I do really like that, to be honest, because it's going to be a blank and double game week. So it allows you to basically take out the blank players and bring in the double game week players. So you're kind of getting the best of both worlds of using it in a blank and a double. However, like I said, wildcard 36, is it enough time to value your wildcard and make use of your wildcard when the season's ending? You're getting 3 game weeks out of it, so I'm not too sure. Potentially, the wildcard could move to 35 though, so potentially you get a few extra game weeks out of it. But then, will the bench boost be worth it because an injury could have happened in game week 35, 36? Yeah, you don't really know with that one. Strategy 2, wildcard 33, nice and early. Don't need to think about 34 because you're free hitting in 34 and then bench boost 37. So you could argue that triple captain, free hit, and bench boost are locked in. It's just when to wildcard. I guess that all depend on your team, how your team's basically fielded and how is it ready to go through these blank double game weeks, etc. Obviously, game week 29 is not on here. I think game week 29 will be fine to get through. I think Chelsea or Villa go out, which means Arsenal or Chelsea have a game, or Villa or West Ham have a game. So that gives you Bowen, Watkins, or it gives you Palmer, Saka, Arsenal defenders, etc., etc. For me personally, I've got Moreno, Bowen, and Watkins, and then I've also got Palmer, David Raya, and Saka. So I've got 3 of each. So for me, I've also got actually Areola. So I've got 4. But to be honest, I'd rather Chelsea win that game, and then I've got 4 Villa and West Ham players and only 3 Arsenal players. So yeah, you could argue that I prefer that, but to me, I think it's going to be enough to get through. That's 4 big players that I've got there. Also got Pedro Porro, Spurs player, that's definitely going to play. I think I'll have enough to get through. But that was it for this video. Thanks so much for watching. Please make sure you do smash a like. I'm trying to hit 50 likes for this video. So if you can be one of the 50, that would be really great. And good luck for the game week. I'll catch you in the next one.